is an equitable distribution of goods and labor is not true.
In 1801, a boy was born in San Gabriel Mission who would become one of the most prominent Californians of the 19th century. Pio de Jesus Pico, or simply Pio Pico, spent his youth climbing the political and social ranks in California and became a successful businessman and landowner. At 31 years old, he would be named governor of California amidst great political turmoil. When the mail from Mexico reached my hands, the first communication I opened was that of my being named governor, which I concealed, keeping it in my possession for about 4 months before I made it public because I did not want to be governor. I wanted to be free of a load that was beyond my strength, particularly because of all the dissensions existing, because of the danger of a foreign invasion which was threatening, without resources to prevent it, as was my duty. Pico was concerned the growing power of the United States would threaten Alta California, and his fears were not unfounded. The Mexican-American War began in 1846, and by 1847, Los Angeles was officially American. The flourishing rancho system in California was doomed. However, when the California Gold Rush began 2 years later, the dramatic population increase drove up the price of beef, bringing a final wave of prosperity to the rancheros. But by the mid-1860s, the era of the rancho was over.
Los Angeles is an extraordinarily diverse city. If you look at that 1 square mile right around El Pueblo, this is one of the most diverse places in the country.
The first Anglo-immigrant to El Pueblo, Joseph Chapman, arrived in 1818. Like most of the few Americans who arrived in El Pueblo when it was part of Mexico, Chapman married into a Californio family, learned Spanish, and converted to Catholicism. The Italian community began to arrive in the 1820s, many of them migrating west from their ports of entry on the east coast of the United States.
In Los Angeles, they encountered a climate that was more hospitable. And we're not only talking about sunshine, but a climate that's influenced by Latino culture, Catholicism, a similar language, a culture that's similar to Italian culture. And so they more often than not fit in and were able to achieve upward mobility easier here than in other places of the United States.
By 1900, there were about 2,000 Italians in Los Angeles, which had grown from a small pueblo to a city of more than 100,000. In 1908, Italian Hall was built on Olvera Street to serve as a business and social center. It is presently home to an Italian-American museum. French settlers also began to arrive in the 1820s, and by 1900 there were around 2,000 French people living in Los Angeles. Both French and Italian immigrants were often experienced winemakers and capitalized on Los Angeles' fertile soil and Mediterranean climate, turning it into the wine-making capital of California. Lucien Brunswick, a prominent Frenchman, owned the largest drug manufacturing laboratory west of Chicago. The Victory Brunswick Building and Brunswick Annex, both of which are in El Pueblo and were home to his company, were renovated to house the Plaza de Cultura y Artes, built to celebrate Mexican-American contributions to Los Angeles history, art,